Let me preface this by saying, I'm not proud of what I did, but I don't regret it either. I'm 28 now, the youngest of three. My sister, Claire, 3 years older, was a textbook definition of the perfect child. Straight A's, cheer captain, prom queen, Ivy League full ride. She could do no wrong. My parents practically worshipped her. Meanwhile, I was the background character. I wasn't dumb or rebellious. I just wasn't her. I was a quiet, artsy kid. I liked books, drawing, fixing things. But to my parents, I was always Claire's little brother. And no matter what I did, it was never enough. Claire knew this, and she weaponized it. 3 years ago, I was living with my grandmother, Dad's mom. She had just started showing signs of dementia, and someone needed to help her out. Claire was too busy with work, and my parents, too old to be caregivers. So guess who they've all untold to move in? Me. At first, I didn't mind. Grandma was sweet, stubborn, and fiercely independent. She didn't like asking for help, but I was able to earn her trust slowly. I handled her groceries, drove her to appointments, helped organize her meds. I even learned how to use her ancient banking app to help pay her bills. Then one day, $12,000 went missing from her account, and everything changed. I came home one afternoon and found my dad, mom, and Claire sitting at the dining table with Grandma, who looked confused and scared. The energy was ice cold. Dad slammed a stack of bank printouts in front of me. Explained this. Dozens of large ATM withdrawals, flagged in red pen, each one on a day when I had run errands for Grandma. I tried to tell them I didn't do it. I begged them to look at the timestamps. Some were at night when I wasn't even home. But Claire, she chimed in real soft. I didn't want to say anything, but I've noticed him acting strange lately. My parents ate it up. Hook, line, and dagger. The police got involved. I was questioned like a criminal. No charges were filed. There wasn't enough evidence. But that didn't matter. My family treated me like a thief. I was told to get out and not come back until I could admit what I did. I left that night with a trash bag of clothes and $34 in my account. I crashed in my car for 2 months. Lost my job. Had a complete mental breakdown. Claire, she got promoted. Threw a big engagement party. Smiled for Instagram photos with my parents while I slept in Walmart parking lots. Fast forward to last year. Grandma passed away peacefully in her sleep. I hadn't spoken to her in months. My parents hadn't told me she was sick again. I found out from a neighbor. But then, something strange happened. Her lawyer called me. Apparently, I was still listed as the executor for her personal effects. Not the will, just her belongings. When I came to sort through her things, the lawyer handed me a small, sealed envelope labeled, "For my name when the time is right." Inside was a USB stick and a handwritten note. I don't know what Claire's done, but something hasn't felt right. I've hidden a camera in the hallway. I hope it helps you when you need it most. I believe you. My hand was shaking as I loaded the video. And there she was, Claire, caught on camera sneaking into Grandma's room at night, going through her purse, using her card, then deleting alerts from the banking app and logging out. Multiple nights, multiple withdrawals, multiple lies. I sat there staring at the screen, heart pounding so hard I could barely breathe. This was it. Proof, not just of the crime, but of her complete betrayal. And I realized something right then. I didn't want an apology. I didn't want my family back. I wanted justice. Real, soul-crushing justice. I didn't go to my parents. That would have been pointless. They'd probably protect her. No, I went bigger. Claire worked in finance. Big job, big firm. She also volunteered at a local church as a youth mentor. Her wedding was 3 months away, to a guy who came from an ultra-conservative family. So I made 4 anonymous mailers, each one with a copy of the video footage, a short timeline of the withdrawals, screenshots from the bank statements. I still had some saved, and a little note that said, "Would you trust this woman with your money, your children, or your son?" I sent them to her boss, her church's pastor, her fiancé, and her fiancé's parents. Then I waited. 2 weeks later, my phone blew up. Missed calls from my dad. Then my mom. Then Claire. I didn't answer, but I watched. Claire was fired from her job. Ethical breach during a sensitive client account review. Her church released a statement that she was no longer affiliated with youth programs due to internal concerns. Her fiancé called off the wedding. Publicly, their entire wedding website went offline overnight. And Claire went on Instagram and posted a quote about being betrayed by family, followed by radio silence. My parents showed up at my apartment 2 days later. They had never been there before. They looked broken. My dad asked, "Why would you do this?" I looked him dead in the eye and said, "I didn't. Claire did. I just gave people the truth." They haven't spoken to me since. I don't expect them to. But for the first time in my life, I slept soundly that night. I thought that would be the end of it. Honestly, I expected things to just fade. She'd lick her wounds. My parents would ice me out, and I'd finally move on. But what I didn't expect was what came next. About a month later, I got a message from someone I didn't recognize. No profile picture. No mutual friends. Just a text. "You're not the only one she's burned." Attached was a Dropbox link. I almost didn't click it. Looked like a scam, but curiosity won. And what I found took this from a revenge story into something way darker. Inside the folder were screenshots of texts, emails, and even audio clips between Claire and various ex-friends, ex-co-workers, even former roommates. People she'd manipulated, stolen from, lied to, or straight up bullied. One woman said Claire had sabotaged her job interview out of jealousy. Another claimed Claire had blackmailed her with private photos to keep her quiet after a falling out in college. There were 7 women in total, all of them burned by Claire. They had found each other in a private Facebook group called Collateral Claires. Yes, that was the actual name. Apparently, word of Claire's downfall had reached one of them, and they traced it back to me. They wanted to thank me, and then they asked if I wanted to help with something. Now, look, I had already gotten my revenge, but this was justice on a scale I never imagined. So I said yes. The group had one final target in mind: Claire's reputation in the finance industry. You see, before she was fired, Claire had been on track to launch her own boutique consulting firm. She'd built up years of connections, clients, investors. She'd even given TED-style talks about ethical wealth management. The irony burns. So here's what we did. The group compiled everything: the footage, the statements, testimonies, and even some emails where she mocked clients or fudged reports. All anonymously, of course. Then we created a sleek, anonymous site. 1 page. No names. Just evidence. Titled, "The Claire Nobody Knew." We didn't share it with the world. Just 3 strategic people. A major industry podcast that had once interviewed her. A background check firm used by several banks. And a compliance officer at a Fortune 500 company where Claire had once applied for a contract. We didn't accuse her. We just showed the truth and let the whispers do the rest. By the end of the quarter, Claire had become a ghost in her industry. No callbacks, no rehires. Her LinkedIn went dark. Her website down. One of the group members even got offered a position that used to be lined up for Claire. And me? I started getting job offers. Real ones. From people who'd heard what happened and respected how I handled things quietly. I never confirmed anything. I never denied it either. Funny how that works. 6 months after the fallout, I ran into Claire at a gas station of all places. She looked different. Hair pulled back in a messy bun. No makeup. Designer bag swapped for a generic tote. Her eyes were hollow. But when she saw me, they lit up with a kind of fury I'll never forget. She walked up to me, stood in my space, said low and cold, "You think you won?" I didn't answer. She stepped closer. "You ruined my life." I finally looked at her and said, "No, you did. I just turned the lights on." She didn't reply, just stood there, breathing hard, then walked back to her car and peeled out of the lot. That was the last time I saw her. I'm not here to pretend I'm some hero. What I did was calculated. Cold, a little obsessive, maybe, but let me ask you this. If someone steals from your dying grandmother, destroys your name, lets you live homeless while they climb higher, what would you do if you had proof? I don't feel bad. I don't feel sorry. I feel free, because for the first time in my life, I'm no longer forgotten little brother in Claire's perfect shadow. Now, when people say my name, they say, he's the one who exposed her. And that feels a hell of a lot better than forgiveness. After that run-in at the gas station, I thought it was over. Not just the drama. I mean, really over. That kind of final confrontation where you get the last word, walk away, and let the credits roll. But life doesn't work like that. About 2 months later, I got a knock at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. It was late, and I live in a part of town where you don't answer knocks after 9 p.m. unless it's food or trouble. I cracked the door, ready to brush off whoever it was, and I froze. It was my mom. She looked smaller than I remembered, hair unkempt, wrinkles that hadn't been there last year. She clutched her purse like it was her last possession on earth, and her eyes, wide, unsure, scanned my face like she didn't recognize me. "Can I come in?" That voice, weak, tired, my gut clenched. I wanted to slam the door. I wanted to scream at her for the years of silence, for letting Claire do what she did, for watching me spiral into nothing and choosing not to care. But instead, I opened the door. She sat at the edge of the couch like it might bite her. I stayed standing. There was a long pause before she spoke. "Your sister's not doing well," she said. I didn't respond. "She hasn't left the house in weeks. She won't eat. She says people follow her, that they're watching. She thinks she's going to be arrested, even though the police never came. She won't stop crying, won't talk to us, blames you for everything." Another silence. Then, "I don't know who my daughter is anymore." I stayed quiet, because what was I supposed to say? Welcome to the truth? She said, "You had something to do with it. The job, the fiancé, everything. Is it true?" I looked at her, not angry, not bitter, just exhausted. She stole from her dying grandmother. I said softly. She blamed me, lied, let me suffer, and you believed her without question. My mom's eyes welled up. She looked away, but I didn't let her dodge. I slept in my car. I ate gas station crackers. I almost died from an infection because I couldn't afford a clinic. And you all just moved on, like I was disposable. "I didn't know," she whispered. "You didn't want to know." She winced like I'd hit her, and then she said something I didn't expect. "I came here not for her, for me, to say I'm sorry. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know that, but I had to say it anyway." I didn't know what to feel. After all this time, years of silence, pain, abandonment, she came not to fix it, not to ask for absolution, just to admit her part in the wreckage. She got up to leave. "You don't have to call. I won't bother you again, but I'll be hoping you're okay." She hesitated. She was wrong. I know that now, and I'm sorry it took me losing both my kids to see the truth. She left, and I stood there in the doorway, staring at the empty hall. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just felt like a house after a storm, quiet, still standing. But something had shifted inside. Over the next few weeks, something strange happened. Old friends I hadn't heard from started messaging me. Some had heard rumors. Others just had a feeling and wanted to check in. One even said they'd seen the anonymous site and guessed it was me behind it. "Was that you?" they asked. I didn't confirm. I didn't deny. But I started talking again, making connections, getting invitations. People no longer saw me as the black sheep. They saw me as someone who stood up, not just for myself, but for the truth, for justice. And strangely, that meant something. Even now, I still get emails from people thanking me. Some who barely knew Claire. Others who almost got close to her, professionally, socially, romantically, and managed to pull back because they saw the signs. It was never about fame, never about revenge porn, It was about balance, about not letting people like her keep winning, while the ones they trample are left to crawl out of the wreckage alone. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't still carry scars. Some nights, I still wake up thinking I'm back in my car, freezing in the middle of January, wondering if I'll even wake up at all. Some wounds don't disappear. They just stop bleeding.